And I just feel like Harry isn't breaking down in tears because of the Invictus Games. That isn't normal, Brittany. Breaking right now, Prince Harry has been criticized.
What's really going on behind closed doors between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? Is the fairy tale finally cracking under the pressure? Today we're diving deep into the emotional breakdown that shocked the world. Prince Harry visibly in tears at the Invictus Games.
For his bad behavior at the Invictus Games after an emotional breakdown sparked by Meghan defying him in regards to her Instagram posts where she exposed his children in the public eye. But there were a couple of moments that showed Harry's arrogance, especially when he was alongside the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Let's have a look.
That you can take that back to Ukraine with you. I said the same thing last time in Düsseldorf, but I know there's new faces and new competitors here. So the whole world, this whole Invictus community and the whole world stands with you. So take that back with you to Ukraine. And thank you for taking the time to come and join us, guys. It would not be an Invictus game without you.
Thank you. So that was Harry thinking he could dive into politics. But look at what happened here when a young guy just tried to get a photo with Prince Harry, who's apparently the people's prince. No, 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 says the heavy-handed security man. Let me bring in Brittany now, editor of the Royal News Network. It was a very bizarre end to the Invictus Games, Brittany. I think it is absolutely clear that Harry was not coping emotionally. There had been far too much pressure with Meghan when she was there. She didn't support Harry at all. She was completely overwhelming him, phone in the face all the time, lots posted on social media. But the tears at the closing ceremony very much reminded me of Princess Diana's breakdown in public when she would be having rows with King Charles. It was like he just couldn't hide his true sadness and his true despondency over what's going on in his marriage from the world.
And the growing concerns that Meghan's behavior might be doing more harm than anyone realized. Buckle up. This isn't just royal gossip. This is a royal reckoning. The Invictus Games are supposed to be Prince Harry's proudest achievement, a tribute to wounded veterans, a symbol of strength.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And the Invictus Games, of course, I'm sure brings a lot of emotions for him. You know, to be fair to him, he is a veteran and everything. But what I think is clear as well is that if you actually watch the Invictus Games and some of the events, I mean, I know they tried to happy talk it, but they're empty. Like there was a sitting volleyball game where there were like 4 stands on one side, just like 1, 2, 3, 4 like places, minimal sides on the other. People are not engaging in this. And so I feel like, at least I hope, that the Invictus Games is taking a really hard look at the dismal output from the community towards the veterans. People Harry claims he wants to support and lift up. And there's nobody there to cheer them on. They're only there for the opening and closing ceremonies because they want a concert. They're not really there for the veterans. And so looking at all this, so knowing probably a lot of the tensions that are going on behind the scenes, Meghan is desperate for this huge launch. I'm sure Harry is hearing over and over and over again how much she needs this to be a success, how much he needs to go along with her on this, and that she just needs to promote it on her Instagram because that'll make everything better, even though that doesn't really make a ton of sense, to be quite honest, because she doesn't seem to care at all about the Invictus Games. So I think there's a lot of emotions and tensions going on definitely behind the scenes. And I think to see Invictus, I would argue, starting to fail a bit should really be a wake-up call for Harry as well.
Yeah, indeed. I think it should be a wake-up call from him, big for him. But the problem is, when I talk about this, Brittany, I'm actually not saying it with any sympathy or empathy for Harry. I mean, look at the absolute misery in that image, for example. But it just really did strike me that Harry does have a lot of Diana's emotional instability in him. Now, with Diana, though, it was so different, Brittany. She was so young. I mean, let's just take a look at this picture again and remember that the reason and this was in her words to Andrew Morton, by the way, the reason that she burst into tears in public was not because she was missing Charles, who was going away for a long period. It was because just before he went away, she had discovered that he was back in contact with Camilla Parker Bowles. And I just feel like Harry isn't breaking down in tears because of the Invictus Games. That isn't normal, Brittany. It's happened a lot. He's breaking down, and he's totally coped with the emotions of the Invictus Games. He is breaking down in tears because of Meghan. Meghan is now emotionally abusing him to an extent where he cannot control his emotions in public. Let me stress again, and I think anyone who is a regular viewer of this channel knows, Brittany, I have zero sympathy for Harry. Zero. He was warned, but I just do believe that the emotional toll of this unhappy marriage is really reaching breaking point.
Well, when you look at their relationship, really, everything about them has been a battle. And I actually wrote about this sometime last year, is that they've made everything for themselves so insanely difficult. Everything's a struggle. They have to battle through everything. And that's part of their whole Romeo and Juliet delusional fantasy that the two of them share. But, we all know how Romeo and Juliet ended. They both died. So that's not really a good analogy in some ways, because for Harry and Meghan to lean on, because it's going to lead them to disaster too. You can't live in that delusional fantasy forever. And I had always imagined that, at least when it comes to Harry, he would always begin to resent her at some point, because he realized what she cost him. She cost him time with his grandparents, time with his father, his brother, his niece and nephews. Meghan has cost Harry so much, his place in the royal family, his purpose in life. I think he's just rudderless. And then he has Meghan dictating all these things to him, putting so much pressure on him and them, because they need so much money, because she needs more trinket jewelry and more designer clothes and all these sorts of things to feel fulfilled. And he never can keep up with it. And he never can she's never happy. And so he's constantly, I think, trying to make her happy, and it's making him miserable. And so I'm sure he's just praying that this is a success, because if it's not, things are just going to go from bad to worse for them at home, because she needs all this money, all this accoutrement, and he just can't provide it to her. But that's the relationship they set up. They knew this going in. Harry was warned time and time again by basically everyone in his life that she was bad news. He went with her anyways, and now he's got to suffer with the consequences.
But instead of triumph, what we witnessed was heartbreak. Harry broke down during the closing ceremony, a rare moment of vulnerability caught on camera. Many expected it was the pressure of the event, but insiders are now pointing to something far deeper.
And Brittany, the thing is, it's our fault, apparently. Well, not yours, actually, Brittany, because you're not in the UK. But it's our fault here in the UK that the coverage of the Invictus Games was so bad. So look at this post from a reporter who revealed that the outgoing Invictus Games CEO has said that it has to be an ambition to host the games in Ukraine at the earliest opportunity after the war. Dominic Reid also criticised UK coverage of the games, saying he was very disappointed. And you responded, Brittany, saying Invictus needs to stop blaming the media for its failings. The coverage was disappointing because the Invictus Games itself is wildly subpar in its PR, social media marketing, etc. They let the games become the Harry and Meghan show, and the media is just following their lead. And Brittany, I said amen to that. This is the ultimate example of trying to shoot the messenger. And as the Daily Telegraph revealed over the weekend, Brittany, Harry and Meghan were not working at all with Team Invictus. They were doing their own thing. They have hijacked the games to try and help the launch of Meghan's Netflix show. Now, Harry might be upset about that. And yes, in fairness, he did send her home. But, and this is the big but, it's not good enough. He's allowing his legacy to be destroyed by his mad wife.
Exactly. You look at the Invictus Games right now, and you can't name a single competitor. You don't know what countries are there, except for maybe a handful, and some of those are kind of the obvious ones. You know nothing about the Invictus Games. And that is not the media's fault. That's Invictus's fault because I was watching their social media. And yes, occasionally they would maybe profile a competitor, but they did not do that as much as they should have. Like what you see during the Olympic coverage is that they sort of intersperse the competitions with profiles on the individual players, basically, are those people competing. And so Invictus hasn't done that. We know nothing. And that is Invictus's fault. It's not anybody else's. They can't blame anybody else. They need a better strategy because the strategy is Harry and Meghan. Like what I see is that Invictus is telling people, oh, come and watch two people watch a sport because they're not coming there to watch the competitors. They're basically sort of advertised to come and watch Harry and Meghan kiss face while other people are competing and actually doing a sport. And that's why you see nobody attending. I was there in 2016 at the Invictus Games. I did the prelims of volleyball, sitting volleyball, and the finals. And I will tell you right now, from what I remember, at least the spectator half of the court was extremely full. And this time when I was watching some of the coverage, you just saw empty stands everywhere. And that is the fault of Invictus. They can't get people to attend in person. If you can't get people to engage online, you cannot get people to attend in person. And that is a huge problem going forwards. They can't blame the media. This is all on them. They have to fix the Harry and Meghan problem, and they have to fix their own coverage issues. Because yes, Harry and Meghan can be there, but you can't just rely on them to make things happen because then it becomes the Harry and Meghan show. When you search through the photos and Getty images, all you see are Harry and Meghan when it comes to Invictus Games. It's sort of changed up after Meghan left, but they're all of Harry and Meghan. You can't even cover it as a journalist if there are no pictures of the competitors, and that's on Invictus.
Meghan. From body language to offstage moments, it's clear. He wasn't just overwhelmed by the crowd. He looked lost. Is this the breaking point?
Brittany, a big development in terms of the potential deportation of Prince Harry, maybe another reason he was in tears as Invictus closed, with the Mail on Sunday reporting that Trump would actually go one step further than deportation, would actually back legal action, criminal prosecution against Prince Harry if he lied on his US visa application about drug use. At the same time, the Archewell Foundation have really tried to hit back at this New York Post and Heritage Foundation reporting that they have effectively been donating money to the Democratic Party to curry political influence via their charity, which has now seen these calls for a congressional investigation, which I absolutely believe there should be. But what's so funny, Brittany, is they released this high-minded statement saying how ludicrous to think that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle endorsed anyone at the last election. But they are forgetting that Meghan has been very public in the past about her feelings in regards to Donald Trump. And before the 2020 election, Brittany, there was an endorsement in all but name. We knew exactly what these two were doing with this video.
Now, we're just 6 weeks out from Election Day, and today is National Voter Registration Day. Every 4 years, we are told the same thing, that this is the most important election of our lifetime. But this one is. When we vote, our values are put into action and our voices are heard. Your voice is a reminder that you matter, because you do, and you deserve to be heard.
This election, I'm not going to be able to vote here in the US. But many of you may not know that I haven't been able to vote in the UK my entire life. As we approach this November, it's vital that we reject hate speech, misinformation, and online negativity.
So as we work to reimagine the world around us, let's challenge ourselves to build communities of compassion.
Tonight reminds us of how important it is to watch out for each other, to care for each other, and to inspire each other. We are incredibly proud to join you in this historic moment in time.
Thank you.
So, I mean, Brittany, come on. All of a sudden, Archewell, on behalf of the Sussexes, are trying to say, oh no, they don't endorse politically. What a joke. Why on earth were they giving all of this money to Joe Biden's daughter, for example?
Oh, yes. When you look at Harry and Meghan, I mean, especially Meghan, we know exactly where she stands politically. That is not a question. That is not an issue. That is not an argument. We know exactly where she stands. We know exactly that her money is going to go and support those causes. And I mean, this happens on both sides of the political aisle. But 100% their funds are going to go to not neutral or politically unbiased organizations. They go most always exclusively to organizations you can call incredibly bias leaning towards the Democrat Party. And that's not necessarily totally bad but for them to argue that they're unbiased or neutral is just absolutely ridiculous. And I think when it comes to Donald Trump and Prince Harry, I would tell Harry and Meghan right now, tread carefully because this administration seems to be watching everything very closely. We have everything going on with Doge and everything. And so Harry and Meghan and where they've sent their money, what money they might have received in part with USAID grants is all going to come under scrutiny, I think. And if Harry, let's say, has a particular visa status, if he has a diplomatic visa, diplomatic passport, something like that, I think people will be completely and utterly enraged by that because they are just continuing to act as if not only are they biased politically, but they're trying to act as if there's royals of the United States when we know they only lean one way. And overall, I think people are sick of that. We fought a war almost 250 years ago now, so we don't have to deal with royalty. And we definitely don't want Harry and Meghan here sort of dictating to us what they think we should vote on and those sorts of things. We're sick of it. We're tired of it. And I think Harry and Meghan should take the knee here and just sort of move off to the side.
Prince Harry once had the world at his feet. Now, he looks like a man barely holding it together. Meghan Markle may not be the sole cause of his decline, but one thing's clear. Something is very wrong behind those palace-free walls. Will Harry finally wake up and reclaim his life, or is he too far gone? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this marriage headed for a royal collapse? Are we witnessing the fall of a modern-day prince in real time? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We've got more updates, more breakdowns, and more truth bombs coming your way.